We have a new episode presented by Breckenridge Distillery. If you don't know, you need to know. Breckenridge not only has award-winning whiskeys and bourbons, but they have a whole SKUs of vodka, gin, rum, bitters. Hell, if you need a bar mat, they've got that too. You can find them all at the local liquor store in your area across Colorado. And if you find yourself in Breckenridge, stop by their distillery or their tap house on Main Street. It's not to be missed, whether it's closing weekend or just another spring Saturday. Cheers.
The suppression of the use of marijuana and of the forces lurking behind it are the most important jobs this department is now engaged in. In 1930, the records on marijuana in the Washington office of the Narcotics Division scarcely filled a small folder like this. Today, they fill cabinets.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Coloradians and everyone that's smart enough to listen from the outside.
It's one of the most amazing plants we've ever discovered.
The pot party, the trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Stoned Appetit with your host. As always, it's me, Kip Wilson. Unfortunately, Chris was unable to make it for our interview of the day today, but we have a doozy for you. You saw it on our social medias. We have the queens of the community, the dumpling gods themselves, the team from Yuan Wonton here in Denver joining us on the pod. But before we dive into that, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Obviously, y'all know the name of the game. It's cannabis, food, cocktails. Those are the things that we love in this world, and we wouldn't be able to do it without our sponsors. First up, our friends over at Ritual Colorado. Y'all have been seeing them on our page the last couple of days, last couple of weeks as we get ramped up for 420, which is 1 week from today. You need to make sure you have all the gear as well as that you have the best available. That's why Ritual Colorado, a local digital cannabis shop specializing in vape, bongs, rigs, pipes, pieces, toys that go along with it, all available at www.ritual-co.com, or you can follow their social media, ritual_Colorado, and you can learn all about the products they have. From now until the 1st of May, they're actually doing their 1-year anniversary party. So you can shop online at their store. Again, that's www.ritual-co.com, or check their social pages to see what they're buzzing about. There's 15 to 20% off pretty much the whole damn store. So check them out. And now let me introduce to y'all the Stoned Appetit Champion of the Year March Madness Bracket winners, chef from Yuan Wonton, Miss Penelope Wong.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Doing fantastic, Kip. How are you?
I'm doing well. Always peachy when I get to talk with you and goof off for a couple of minutes. So thank you so much for taking the time.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Absolutely.
Well, Penelope, we're using this episode today because we wanted to talk about the March Madness bracket after the dust had settled. Obviously, y'all been busy as a bee, not just the last month, but last like 2 years. But we like to, before we dive into the March Madness, I guess, bracket challenge, whatever we're calling it, we like to start every episode the same way, just to kind of learn a little bit more about our guests. Penelope, could you tell a little bit about, are you from Colorado? Where are you a native here? Are you a transplant? What brought you to Colorado, or how long you been here?
Denver native, believe it or not.
Shit, really?
Yeah, really. One of the last few remaining ones.
Y'all really are like unicorns. There's like 7 of y'all left in Colorado. Everyone got out when everyone else came in.
Yeah, no, born and raised here. My brother and I are first generation born in the United States.
Oh, get the hell out of here. That's so exciting. So we always ask our natives, what hospital were you born in?
Rose.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Right in the heart of the city there.
I mean, right there. That's the smack dab. And, now that area is kind of turned itself on its head. It's got a kind of new look over there, but at the same time, that's a great, oh man, I'm so excited. I didn't realize you were a native to Colorado. So let me ask you, did you ever want to get the hell out of here? Like a lot of probably your high school and classmates and things of that nature? Because you
Oh
really
yeah.
are few and far between.
Yeah, no. I had plans. I actually was gonna move to the East Coast. And then, family, my whole family's here. And then of course life happened and just everything got planted here. So I'm here.
Hell, well, let me ask you this then. Obviously, you're an award-winning chef, not just the Stoned Appetit, but you got the James Beard semifinalist nod this year as well. Have you always had that love for food and passion? And is that what kind of led you to this career path, or how did you find yourself becoming one of the top chefs in Colorado?
Well, food's always been just the biggest part of my world. Childhood memories are, mostly about food, food with my family. I was always in the kitchen kind of bugging my grandma and my mom and my aunts about what's this and how do we make this and what do we have for dinner tonight? And my first aha, oh my God, food is fucking awesome moment was in Thailand. I was 11 years old and it just, ever since then, I was just kind of blown away with it. And from that point on, I wanted to just learn everything I could about it. As far as, award winning, it's never been a goal to get accolades or win this award or win that award. I mean, although, the Stoned Appetit Award is like the only one that really matters.
We've often said that too.
Come on. But it's just, it's definitely been, oh my God, it's been amazing. But any kind of accolade, any kind of, recognition is just a bonus because doing this is just a dream. I mean, it's what I love.
I love that. So like, obviously, you mentioned that you fell in love with food at the age of 11, kind of doing those trips to Thailand. I grew up in like Mississippi where we had like that one Mexican restaurant and everybody got fajitas. We had like a couple barbecue spots, but we didn't have a lot of like varietals or authentic cuisine. Growing up in Colorado, were you able to find food that kind of like, I guess, reminded you of, those trips to Thailand, or was it still kind of a meat and potatoes town well into the 2000s for you growing up as well?
Oh my gosh, it was very much a meat potatoes town. People used to ask me a lot, what's the food scene in Denver? It's like, not good. But we grew up with good food because we have such an extended family here. And my family members, my cousins, my aunts, they all had restaurants across town. So we ate very, very well growing up. It was always a mixture of Chinese and Thai in our household. So it was amazing.
I'm very jealous of that. We had like hamburger steak and like we would turn hamburger steak into sloppy joes or something of that nature. So like the ground beef had a progression through the week. So
I tell you what, I have an appreciation for those, that type of cuisine though, because growing up, because we had, every single night was Asian food for dinner. Every single night we had, everyone got a plate of rice and then there was all the shared dishes in the middle of the table. But because it was so frequent, whenever we got anything else, it was kind of considered a treat. On the rare occasion that my dad would stop at a fast food joint and bring stuff home, we were like, oh my God, this is the best thing in the world.
I remember those days as well. It was like, oh, we're too busy. We're getting Subway or Popeyes or McDonald's. And I was always the chicken finger guy because you can't fry chicken fingers at home. So that was always my go-to, which probably leads me to love my chicken wings today. You mentioned, you have family that has restaurants or y'all kind of grew up in the kitchen, like with the extended family as well. When you started kind of making your own path for the culinary world, what led you to making dumplings being your go-to, and how has that been by consideration of starting and kind of making your bones through your own restaurant's names through the food truck world? How has that always kind of been? Has it been an easy navigation?
No, it was, one of the most difficult transitions of my life when I left the country club, trying to get out into the public sector in Denver was, if no one knows who you are, I was in the private sector for 20 years. So nobody had any idea who I was as a chef. And it was just a matter of putting yourself out there and trying to build trust in the community. But, starting with dumplings, it was one of those things where, when I was at the club, I had such a big role there, and I ran such a big team, that I was always, I had this giant office full of just massive paperwork, and my respite was always to schedule myself on saute station on the busiest night of the week, because I'm not an office kind of person. I can't sit and just do office work. And especially as a chef, you just want to get out there and get, create and the
Get your apron dirty.
oh my gosh, absolutely. Just get in it. And I used to come up with just crazy specials for, again, our busiest night of the week. And my staff would look at me like, are you crazy? Like, because I would run just a massive specials menu, and it would all be, we would make pasta from scratch, ravioli from scratch, gnocchi. And they're like, how many do you want us to make? But it was because I would dismiss myself from my office, and I would get in the kitchen with them to get my hands dirty, because it was my respite. And I loved doing pasta from scratch and dumplings and whatever I could, because it was my escape. And so when I left the club, it was kind of looking at what the next project was going to be. And I obviously knew that I was going to stay in the industry because I love it too much. But, I thought about how much I loved making dumplings. I loved, all the memories I have as a child of my grandma trying to teach me how to make dumplings and making wontons in the kitchen with my dad at his restaurant. So it was it just became a very, very personal mission to me. When I say this is my passion project, this is my passion project in every sense.
I couldn't agree more. And it kind of feels like when you have your passion project, and whether you cut the safety net from, like leaving the country club or things of that nature to start, like channeling what you're passionate about and like, how can I make this my living? Cutting that safety net, it's thrilling, but it's also a little scary. So it's kind of betting on yourself. And, one thing I think you've done very well is, you mentioned learning or, trying to learn from your grandmother. Watching your social media pages when you're in the commissary and you're like showing us how you crimp the dumplings and things of that nature, it seems like it's an arduous process. So like being the one that's like, it's a reprieve, or like, it's like your me time is when you're actually in there grit and grind. It's a pretty remarkable stance. And now it seems that you've got a couple of the family sauces or the secret XO sauce, and you've taken this city by storm.
Yeah, no. And a lot of the dishes that we do, it all starts with what I learned from my family. It all starts with, a dish that I remember as a childhood favorite. And I mean, as a child, you're in the kitchen and whatnot, and I ask, what are we having? And any Asian chef will tell you, growing up in their family's kitchen, there's no recipe. There's, anytime I ask my parents or my grandmother how to make this, how to make that, they're like, oh, just add some of this and have a little bit of this. And when you try to ask them, well, how much? They say, well, taste it.
It's all done by eye
Absolutely.
and feel.
So experimenting with different dishes that I remember as a child. I remember basic ingredients and technique and whatnot, and you just play with it, and until you get that one bite where you think to yourself, oh my gosh, this is it. I remember this, and it brings you back to that moment when you're a child in the kitchen tasting it for the first time. But there's so much that we do off the truck that is it comes straight from my grandmother's kitchen, from the sauces that my dad would make. I remember he would make, one of his, it's not a mother sauce per se, but it was one of his mother sauces. And, he would make it in a giant 5-gallon vat. And I just remember the smells coming out of the kitchen every time he made that. And it was just amazing.
I literally get that feeling every time I open that box with you. I'm like, oh my gosh. And even if mine doesn't transport me back to when I was 6 or 8 or a vacation when I was 11, it reminds me of the first time I had it, because your spice level comboed with the authenticity of like, oh, these are what dumplings should taste like, not the ones that just happen to come from your, to delivery or takeout order or things of that nature. But you've also done some stuff. You mentioned, your father's mother's recipe and things of that nature. You also have some very fun, whimsical, progressive concepts as well. The Tom Cod dumplings. I swear to God, Penelope, they're God's gift to earth. They are so amazing. And then the chicken satay dumplings. And then you have a vegan spinach dumpling. You're playing with it so it appeals to a broader audience rather than just maybe the family style or authentic style foods.
No, and that's the thing, is there's a fine line between, how authentic you want to stay, especially as a small business owner. But also, as a chef, I get bored. That's why we never run the same menu. From service to service. It's kind of, what we feel like that week. The one constant on the menu is the chili wontons. But, when I came up with the tom kha dumplings, it was one of those, where the tom kha is just every single time I make that, it's redolent of, whenever my mom would cook dinner for us, because it's, she was from Thailand, and those were the aromas that were comfort to her. And so whenever she made Thai dishes, just the smells that would come out of the kitchen. And I lost my mom at a very young age. So, I hold on to as many memories of her as possible. And most of it is through food and being in the kitchen. But doing little riffs on some of my favorite Thai cuisines and offering them in dumpling form, it's staying true to our brand, but also being whimsical, being modern, and really just trying to get people to think out of the box.
I love it. And you know what? Ironically, you say out of the box because you have these little boxes. I take them home and I open them when I get home, and they're still just as photogenic. But as when we did it on the plates in a barn, or when you open up your brick and mortar later this summer, which I think a lot of folks are tuning into this podcast to hear more details about that. So right now, for those that are curious, or if you're a listener, but you haven't had the luxury, Yuan Wonton, they do pop-ups and they announce them at the beginning of every week. And the day before every pop-up, you can go on to their social media page, click on the link in their bio, and buy pre-sale so you can skip the line, because there's a line just about every time for walk-ups. I can't implore this enough. Order the one of everything on the pre-order, people. It's the best way to skip the lines and get that dankness in your mouth as quickly as possible. Penelope, as we dive into the second half of this interview, I promise I won't keep you too terribly long. I kind of teased it right there with the orders and instructions of how to, but let's talk a little bit about what the future holds. Obviously, we know that y'all are bringing home the bacon and the gold trophies, but y'all have a really huge 23 ahead as well. How's it going over there in the world of brick and mortars?
Ooh, Nelly.
Do you hate the city? Is it the city? Because it seems like the permit world is miserable.
I tell you what, well, coming up in June will be one full year that we've literally been paying rent on the space. So it's been challenging because, as small business owners, we've been paying double rent for a commissary space and for this rent that we can't occupy yet. But
it's so preposterous.
It's been challenging for sure. The licensing permitting process has been the most arduous, the most time consuming. We were warned by everyone that we know that it's a long process right now, but we always have that glimmer of hope that, oh well, it should be maybe just another few weeks and another few weeks, but the day that we got that stamp of approval to start the build out was amazing. And we have this incredible GC who is very, very, empathetic to our situation and trying to get us up and running as quick as possible. But we're getting there. And this is all part of the process. It's growing pains. But we're getting there. We're slated to complete construction this month. And then, exactly. And then the fun part comes, we get to move in, we get to get all the furniture in there and design it out how we need to. And just start cooking in there and figuring out the process and figuring out our dance. And, it's very, very exciting for sure.
Okay, so I have a couple questions. A lot of our listeners know I'm not a reader, and I probably could find this information in the post or something of that nature, but y'all are doing things a little differently. Y'all are teaming up with Sweet and Sourdough, some of the best bakers in the city, and other friends of the community as well, the fucking Rapidos team. Um, how is this going to work? So is it going to be like a hodgepodge? You can order one of everything at the same time, or will kind of be mix and match like different days so that y'all can still utilize like truck service out in the community and have a brick and mortar? Is it going to be kind of a beast, or is it a fun juggling act having other folks involved in your misery of building out and things of that nature?
It's a fun juggling act for sure. And it's when we first started this process of even contemplating a brick and mortar, it was one of those moments where we always said from day one that we would never open a restaurant because we've been there, done that. Both Rob and I have been in the industry for several years, and one of the biggest reasons why I left the club was the lack of life. It was 90 hours a week every week, despite what time of year it was. And so when we started the truck, it was looking for more of a healthy balance. Our daughter was young at the time, so we wanted to be able to spend more time with her. And throughout this whole journey with the truck, we've really, really maintained that as a priority, about trying to get out there as much as we can, but also trying to be home as much as we can with her as well. And we've found this great balance. And so when this opportunity came up for the brick and mortar, we kind of looked at it like, well, we understand that, it would be such an opportunity to help us grow our business right now at this point. And, the truck is on its third year, and that truck takes a lot of abuse.
Not wear and tear, abuse.
It's not a wear and tear, it's abuse. It's downright abuse. And it's a 40-year-old truck, and finding replacement parts is pretty much impossible nowadays, and we can only fix it with so many chopsticks at this point. So we had to really look at our situation. And going into a brick and mortar, I thought about, I don't want to have to be the brick and mortar that's open 6-7 days a week. And I hate that that's kind of the general, I guess, expectation for brick and mortars, is that they should be open all the time. Whenever I want to go here, it should be available to me. And so we kind of thought about this and thought about, who do we trust enough? Who do we respect enough that we'd want to go into business with? And it's a short list, and made some phone calls, and of course everyone was like, hell yeah, let's do this. But it's going to be a juggling act. It's not going to be Yuan Wonton every day of the week. And we understand that there's a lot of expectation from the community as far as when they think, oh, you're going into a restaurant, that's awesome. I don't have to, I'm not going to wait in line. I'm not going to try to get an order in right now. I'm just going to wait till you open. But we as business owners, we want to make sure that we maintain that priority of having our life too, and still doing what we love. So there's going to be certain days of the week where it's going to be us. There's going to be certain days of the week where it's going to be fucking Rapidos, and Sweets and Sourdough is transitioning over into retail side, trying to get away from the wholesale side of their business. But the really fun part is throughout the week, there's going to be collaborative lunches and dinners amongst all three companies. So we have some really, really fun stuff planned. Really fun stuff planned. Like I'm so excited. Like I gotta tell you, like I have this running list in my phone of potential menu items for the space that I started months ago, obviously, but this list has grown into just a ridiculous number of menu items.
That's a great problem to have. You're like, okay, now we have to dial in 20 dank dishes down to like 6. So we don't, pull a country club. We're like, fuck, we're having to make 90 different kinds of pastas today.
Right. Well, and we want to maintain a lot of the same service model that we have, where, we want to take this opportunity to help, kind of not so much educate, but really introduce new dishes to the community. Some that, they may not be as familiar with. And there's always going to be a story behind the dish. And no, I'm so excited for this, because especially the collaborative events are going to be just amazing.
I can tell from your smile when you're talking, when you get so excited about it, you're like, oh, I'm so giddy. And I think everybody else is going to be fired up. I was in Lions yesterday, and while I wasn't able to go to Marigold's, it made me think of y'all's pop-up and like those collaborative ideas. And we've seen it in action when you did a cannabis dinner for us last summer. But, I'm looking eagerly forward to the opportunity to see what y'all all do working together in those fun, dinner series, but also being able to just swing through and grab dank ass dumplings, Tuesday, Thursdays, you'll see me there with bells on. So fret not, no matter what the situation.
Oh, yes.
Penelope, before I let you go, I know you have a busy day. Service is right around the corner. I want to talk about the March Madness bracket. It's the worst month of the year. I understand. I'm so sorry I make y'all get on social media all of March, but I want to tell you congratulations and thank you so much for being such a good sport and playing along.
Oh my gosh, thank you. It is. It's funny because when March first came around, we were like, oh shit, it's March.
Fuck,
As soon as we saw your post, we were like, oh crap, here it comes.
Well, you ran a gauntlet this year. And, last year, y'all, we did it kind of subsets of genres of food. And, you mentioned you're about to start year 3 on the truck, and you ran into the buzzsaw that was either Uncle or Hop Alley last year. I can't remember. But over the course of the last year, I swear to God, you probably have more pop-ups than there are open days at Hop Alley, considering construction and things. So you were able to really get it out there. And up until the finals, you won every matchup like 75-25. The community came out in droves for you.
It was really, really awesome to see. And no, you're absolutely right. We've had so many more pop-ups this year versus last year.
You need a vacation.
Well, and it's funny. I was talking to, we were with my family the other day, and my cousin was like, you guys work so damn much. Like, you're always working. And I said, you understand we're self-funding a restaurant build out, right? And she said, oh yeah.
You're like, did I remind you that we've been
Exactly.
paying double rent for a
Exactly.
fucking year?
But yeah, no, and that's part of it too, is really, obviously from a financial aspect, but also, we wanted to get the word out there as much as possible of hey, we're coming, Denver. We're gonna be here on a more permanent basis. And we knew last year that was a major part of it, was because we had such limited pop-ups, and it was funny because, talking to Tommy, I was like, Tommy and I are good friends. I'm like, I love you, Tommy, but oh my God, I want to kill you right now.
That I was so very surprised. I think Tommy would agree that Uncle made such a deep run, and same could be said for Bakery 4, but you and Sean over at Bakery 4, y'all kind of have that similar, concept of, from pop-ups to the brick and mortar, long lines and like a dedicated community that love y'all's product. And it showed all March long. So I wanted to apologize for making you spend more time on social media than needed. More people need to take a disconnect, except for me. That's my job. So I just wanted to apologize, but also say thank you so much and congratulations. I have a big bag of weed I actually need to bring you today. So text me the commissary address.
Okay. Well, we're actually going to be at Call to Arms today.
Oh, well, perfect. I'll just swing by. Tennyson Street's right down the street.
Yeah, perfect.
Frick
No,
yes.
thank you. No, and like I said, I've said it before, the March Madness, it's all in good fun. It's the important part is getting people out there to support the community. And I hope, a lot of the different restaurants that were on there were, they saw a lot of first timers and just people trying to support. So it was really, really awesome to be a part of.
Well, I can't tell you enough how much we appreciate it. I remember, this may have been off the record, but you once told me, I love having my weekends off. That's why I'll never open another brick and mortar. So I'll keep your weekends in our thoughts and prayers in the coming months as y'all get ready to ramp up the new location. But I can't tell you how grateful and how thankful I am for your participation, but also your friendship. And thank you for welcoming us into y'all's community and into the hospitality industry. I just can't tell you how much we love and appreciate you, Ngockers, Rob, Wonton One, the truck, everything. I just want to say thank you so much, P.
Wow. Thank you so much, Kip. That means so much.
I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you in about 7 hours on Tennyson Street. First round of beers. If you see me as you're listening to this, reference this episode of the podcast. I'll buy you a beer while you wait in line for Yuan Wonton today at Call to Arms.
Love it. Thanks.
All
Kip.
right. Well, Penelope, have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.
All righty. Bye-bye.